back to the lowest and driest place in America, Death Valley. I haven't been to this park in, I think, around 8 years. This park is usually extremely dry. It rarely gets rain, but over the last couple of years, in 2022 and 2023, we had huge rainstorms that came through this park, and they actually devastated a lot of the park infrastructure, roads, trails, and things like that. So a lot of the park is actually still closed. It's partially reopened, and I'm gonna explore what I can. It is so spectacular out here. There are green bushes, there are yellow wildflowers. It is actually so lush out here, making it just really phenomenal. I'm going to be shooting on my new OM Systems OM5 camera and exploring some places in this park that I've actually never explored. That is some mud on my shoes. Oh my. I am standing in the lowest place in the United States, Badwater Basin, well below sea level here. And right now there is water all across this salt flat. One of the most unique ways you could ever see this, and probably something that most people will never get to see in their lifetimes. On the ground everywhere is salt. Basically the same kind of salt that you find in your salt shaker at home. And it's quite busy here because, as I just said, this is something entirely unique for this landscape, to have water across it like this, and something that I will definitely remember forever. It's just stunning here. My legs have already turned white from walking around here without my shoes on. But this isn't the only stop we're gonna have here in the park. I'm gonna take you to a couple of favorite spots, a couple of really great drives through the park, and end the day at the sand dunes. I decided to bring my white shawl that I got in Jordan with me on this trip in hopes of getting some really cool windblown desert photos in different areas of the park with my OM5. Now, Badwater Basin is my first stop for this concept, and one thing I really love about this camera is the app called the OI Share app, which allows me to not only live view what I'm seeing on the camera, but it also allows me to download images straight to my phone. This camera shoots really seamlessly in both 16:9 or 9:16, which means it's perfect for Instagram, Facebook, or whatever else on social media you might be posting. So if I take an image and I love it and I want to share it on my phone, I can just easily download it through the app. And I've also set the settings in my camera to be able to share a color-rich version in JPEG directly to my phone, while the camera also still saves a flat RAW file to the card. Wow, how cool was it seeing Badwater Basin with water across it? I'm gonna find some old photos from last time I visited this place. Now, normally Badwater Basin looks like this just huge dry expanse of cracked dirt and salt. I have never seen it like this, so it is definitely really, really unique and super special. If you live in Southern California and you've never been to Death Valley, this is such a great time to visit. Definitely bring your camera. And if you have the time, come for sunrise or stay for sunset over Badwater Basin, because the colors reflecting off that lake bed, the shallow lake that's been created with all this rain, is just absolutely phenomenal. We're off to the next spot here in Death Valley though, and it's one of the drives that is accessible to all kinds of vehicles. Now, Death Valley has miles and miles of dirt roads. Many of them
are closed right now. Many of them will be open in the next couple of weeks, however, and a lot of them are catered to high clearance vehicles with four-wheel drive. But this next one is open to everyone, and it's one of the most beautiful drives that you can take here in the park. It's called Artist Drive, and you're going to see just why it's called that in a second.
The Artist Palette is one place you have to stop if you're coming on this short drive. All of these colors are just mesmerizing. Now, this area, many years before we existed on this planet, had a period of volcanic eruptions, and it deposited all kinds of different minerals that you can see behind me, from green and pink and yellows. And it's just an absolutely spectacular place to stop.
After driving through the Artist Palette, I headed over to Zabriskie Point. This is always a really favorite spot for visitors in Death Valley, as it's a very short walk from the parking lot to the viewpoint. And depending on the time of day, the rich hues of earth tones and the shadows on the rocks, mixed with the wave-like features of this landscape, make for some really awesome photographs. If you're watching this channel, I know you love nature just as much as I do. And if you're a photographer, an amateur one just starting, or maybe even somewhat professional, and you want to learn a little bit more about nature photography, well, OM System actually has this fantastic 6-week email course. They send you an email every week with great tips on how you can be inspired by nature, how you can learn a little bit more, develop your skills a little bit more in photography. And I've dropped a link in the description so that you guys can check it out. And if you sign up, you're actually going to get a special offer from them too. And I think one thing that I love when I come out into nature is just always learning more and developing my skills, not only as a videographer, but as a photographer, and getting to see those images on my computer screen or on my wall at home when I've come home from a trip is just so fantastic. So if I can get a little bit better at a skill when I'm out in nature, it's just such an extra benefit.
So a huge sandstorm has just swept over the road here near Stovepipe Wells, and this may be putting a damper on my last 2 stops, which we're going to include a place called the Grotto, and then also the Mesquite Valley Sand Dunes, which the sand dunes right now are blowing sand everywhere. It's kind of crazy. So I'm going to just try to sit tight for a little bit, and definitely don't want to go out in these conditions. The road that goes to the grotto is actually still mostly closed, unfortunately. There is a 4x4 road that goes about 2 miles up this canyon. And then there's a trail that starts that's supposed to be really cool with some bouldering and scrambling through kind of like a slot canyon area. But you can only drive about half a mile of this road right now because the rest of it's closed. So I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to walk these extra few miles or go and do another road in the park. It's really dusty out, so I'm gonna give it a few minutes and think about it, and I'll see you guys either out on foot or back in the car. With the rest of that 4x4 road being closed, I am just walking up this wash. And this is certainly a place where I do not feel an overwhelming sense of safety. You can see just how high the water must have come when it came rushing through here, probably just a few months ago. And just how fast moving it must have been to push the water all the way across this huge expanse of dried riverbed. So I'm gonna keep going until we lose the light, and then I'm heading over to the sand dunes. Okay, this is cool. I was really expecting this trail to go a lot farther into this canyon. So it actually just comes up maybe about 500 feet into this kind of narrow section, little tiny slot canyon, and then pretty much dead ends. Maybe if you were a pretty good rock climber, you could get up on top of this rock, which I've kind of halfway climbed up, but I probably wouldn't recommend it. But really pretty in here. Definitely gives you kind of a trapped feeling though, walking up that canyon, because you can just see how high the water has come and just how little escape that you would have if it did rain and you were stuck here during a flash flood.
The sun is fading here in Death Valley, which is great news because I'm really excited to take some starry night photos tonight. I'm heading to a backcountry campsite that has some really cool rock features called Alabama Hills. This desert area is right below Mount Whitney. It has some really cool arches and other unique rock formations. Plus, I can have a campfire there and fly the drone. All right, so I'm at camp, and while I'm waiting for it to get dark, I'm just gonna get my OM5 set up to take some night sky photographs. And it's actually really easy on this camera. One of the really awesome things about this camera that no other camera I've ever had has had is that it actually has a setting specifically for starry night photos. It's called Starry Night AF, and it actually uses an internal system to be able to focus specifically on the stars, and it's super simple to get it set up. So I'm going to put it in manual mode, which is right here on my top dial of my camera. I'm going to go in to the settings, and in the menu screen I'm actually going to go to the gear icon. I'm going to go to A4. I'm going to go to Starry Sky AF setting. I'm going to make sure that's put on speed. And now I'm going to go back to the normal screen here. I'm going to hit the OK button, which opens up my super control panel. And in the focus setting, I'm actually going to put it on this Starry AF setting. And I've also put my settings at right now 15 seconds, and I've also put it at 3200 for the ISO. So hopefully that will be right. It is not quite dark yet, so we've got a couple hours to wait here, but it's a lot easier to do this when it's not dark rather than fumbling around outside in the cold with my headlamp. So now all I have to do when we get some stars on the screen is I'll press this AEL/AFL button when it's pointing up to the sky. This will allow the camera to start focusing on some of the stars. It takes about 5 to 10 seconds for it to do that, and then we're able to hit the shutter button and we should get some pretty awesome photos of the stars. All right, it is officially pretty dark out. There are some stars that have just started to come out here, not in the direction that I had hoped actually. It's a little bit overcast tonight, so a little bit of broken clouds here and there, but there are a bunch of stars appearing. So I've broken up the camera, set up the tripod, and it's time to turn this light off so that we can capture some stars. What a fantastic and long day this has been here in Death Valley and now here in Alabama Hills. It's a lot colder here in this part of the state, but it is absolutely beautiful. And this has been such a treat getting to see Death Valley in the winter, and I highly recommend coming here and checking out this park if you live in California or you're coming to visit here. Such a great time of year to visit this place. And if you want to learn more about the OM5 or OM system cameras, sign up for that photography journey as well. You can do that at the link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'm Alice Ford, and never stop exploring.